Hi, I'm Brian Lucy, and I want to talk to you a little bit about a recent publication just accepted, which looks at the financial risk tolerance of Irish adults. It's astonishing, perhaps, when you consider that despite all that's happened over the last number of years, we still don't have a benchmark, a national benchmark, of how tolerant or intolerant are Irish people about taking financial risks. This paper, which is forthcoming in Financial Services Review, the journal of the Academy of Financial Services, the premier US-based association on financial planning and personal finance, was partly based on a master's thesis by one of the co-authors, Megan Mulholland. And Megan used the Grable and Lytton 13-item risk tolerance survey. Now, that's not by any means a perfect instrument. There's lots of problems perhaps with it, but it is widely accepted and it is probably the most widely used. We find when we look at the results of over 600 Irish adults that we can, in effect, benchmark what's going on. We look at 650 adults. They reasonably well fit to the census characteristics in terms of gender, age, location, Dublin or otherwise, etc. We develop a metric of how tolerant people are of taking financial risks, and then we try and explain that using a number of econometric measures. What comes out is perhaps not terribly surprising, but at least it gives us a benchmark. Younger people are more risk tolerant, or are more willing to take risks. Men are more willing to take risks than women. People who have higher levels of education are more willing, perhaps because they have greater income, to take risk. We don't find any evidence that people who are working versus people who are unemployed makes much difference. We don't find any great difference about the location in the country. We don't find much difference about whether or not there were other people in the house with you earning. And we don't find really much difference really as to whether or not people own their own houses, and that was surprising. That set of findings really continues across all of the methods which we use. We also find some evidence. We asked people to report how tolerant they were now of risk versus they were before the crisis. And across all categories, people were less tolerant, bar one, and that was people who were professionals, but that wasn't significant. The people who had shown the greatest degree of fall in their tolerance for risk were those in the older age groups. People in their younger age groups were less risk tolerant, but not by a huge amount. People who were married were significantly less risk tolerant than people who weren't married. And here we do find something about location. People living in Dublin say that they are less risk tolerant now than before compared to other people. So maybe that's an effect about how the crisis has played out across various parts of the country. The paper is downloadable from the Social Science Research Network. Have a look at it. If you want to comment, please feel free to email me or any of the other authors, and hopefully you'll find it interesting and useful, and at least it's a starting perspective about how risk tolerant or otherwise are Irish adults.